It's party time!
Viva Pinata, filled with fun.
Filled with fun!
Don't be enjoying them. Viva Pinata, filled with fun.
Filled with fun!
Viva Pinata, don't be enjoying them.
Carl and Damon here from Brrraains A Head-Banging Life, gbhblofficial for short, and it's They Made What into a TV series. The short version is, of course, Viva Pinata. Episode 18, 2 segments as always, Soil and Green and Pretztail. Aired both of them March 24th, 2007, with segment 1 being Soil and Green. Say it fast, what does it sound like? Soylent Green.
Yeah.
So you can see what they're going for
Yep.
here. And we begin in groan-worthy way as Fergie and Paulie are on the run from Langston, who's trying to get to a party. I do find it quite funny that as they kind of wrote these episodes and went along, they went from it just being Fergie, because you forget, go all the way back to the early episodes, Paulie was not an anti-party person. Then he became just like Fergie. And it's the two of them together now. I presume that was because they realised we can only do so much with Fergie on his own.
Yep.
So let's throw Paulie into the mix too. Running into deeper parts of the island, they come across an abandoned farm, and they figure they can hide out here away from Langston. Inside, they hide in the darkness until Fergie finds some flashlights. I do almost find that sort of thing funny. I can't see anything except for these flashlights, you know, like that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Looking around, they realise it's dingy, but they think they have a new home and celebrate. But then they hear a voice calling out saying, "Excuse me," and obviously you start to panic, thinking it's a ghost or something. And they realise it's coming from outside, and then find Wendell, a worm, we haven't seen one of them in a while, who's caught up in a wind chime. He asks them for help, and they get him down. He's kind of like an older worm with a grey beard. He's supposed to look like a farmer, isn't
See
he?
how fake that beard is, though, man.
Yeah.
It's so terrible.
Yes. He complains about his garden going to heck and sets about digging. The morning after, Fergie and Polly wake up to find the garden teeming with life. They're happy to eat, but are shocked to see that wherever Wendell has this ability that wherever he digs, something starts to grow immediately. And Paulie and Fergie are enjoying their life, watching Wendell just dig around and basically grow things. But then they see a donut arriving and eating, and Paulie grabs Fergie to hide, explaining that basically that donut will go back and tell others what it found, and then it'll bring everyone here.
Yep.
So that night they basically use their torches and a really fun thing to pretend they're a vehicle, freezing the donut solid and carry it away. And obviously it's a jokey thing about a deer frozen in the headlights.
Yeah.
So I did like that. I like stuff like that.
Yeah, it was clever. Yeah.
I thought it was,
Yeah.
They realise more pinatas will smell the food and come, so decide they have to stop Wendell. The next day, they cause a stampede of moozipans, who they blindfold and get them to rampage through the garden, eating all of it. They think they've succeeded, but Wendell starts to re-go the garden just as fast as the moozipans are eating it. So it becomes like a race almost, though, that Wendell ends up winning, making the garden even more impressive. Distraught, Wendell pops out and claims he's off to fix up a new area. Paulie and Fergie are happy, but the sound of stampeding pinatas make them run for cover, so I guess everybody got wind of the garden. All the island's pinatas arrive at once and set about turning the place into a bustling hotspot, basically. A new place to hang out. Paulie and Fergie are trapped inside as everyone begins to approach, so they take a leaf out of Wendell's playbook and start digging to escape. And that's it. That's it.
Yeah.
Yep, we never see a resolution to it. We never see this place again. It's just a self-contained, stupid segment that feels pointless.
Yep, indeed.
Yep. Segment 2, Pretztail. I think this one's a little bit more fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think this one is a bit more fun. Paulie and Fergie are breaking into Pinata Central and make their way into the Pinata file room. Inside, Paulie finds Fergie's file and makes him ineligible for parties. At least they're doing something different and just running away from Langston. Look at it that way.
I know, yeah.
He then looks for himself, but finds the file under S. Confused, he opens and discovers that apparently he's not actually a Pretztail, but rather a squazzle, which are like squirrels, basically.
Yeah.
The next day, Paulie is moving out to join the rest of the squirrels, much to the chagrin of his friends, who insist, "Look, you don't even look like one of them," which is really the major thing. You don't actually look like one. If you know the game, it looks exactly like a Pretztail.
Yeah.
He arrives at a squazzle home and greets them. They are initially confused, obviously, but when he shows them his file, they welcome him in. I like sometimes the silliness of that, where like they're studying the fire and they're looking them up and down and all that kind of thing.
Yeah, totally, yeah.
They then set about trying to teach them their ways to little effect. We kind of get a montage of him trying to be a squazzle, but failing.
Like a bloody Rocky training, isn't it?
Basically.
Yeah.
He particularly has a lot of trouble eating nuts, and then discovers he's allergic to nuts as well. So, yeah, he's not making a very good squazzle.
Mm-hmm.
Later, they injure and annoyed squazzles. So basically, all the stuff he's been doing has been injuring and hurting them. They decide they have to get rid of him and come up with a plan. Look, he's not one of us. We need to get rid of him. Meanwhile, Fergie is pining off to Paulie and insists he's going to get him back. He goes to the squazzle camp and finds Paulie stretching for a mission. He's being sent to get all the acorns in a field dominated by sweet tooths. Except it's clearly a sawmill. A very violent sawmill with bombs and massive saws and all of that.
Yep.
And Fergie rightfully calls him out on this. And look, you're not a squazzle, and there's death, basically. The squazzle squad arrive and cheer him on, basically desperately get rid of him. I was like, you guys are evil. It's bloodthirsty, isn't it?
Indeed, yeah.
Paulie leaves as the other pinatas arrive, and Fergie insists that he's going to prove that Paulie is a Pretztail. Back in Pinata Central, he takes a piece of Paulie's confetti and sets about trying to prove it scientifically for some reason.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, Paulie is having a rough time inside the Sweet Tooth camp. His life is in danger as he ends up in a saw, but he's just able to escape, ending up in a minefield of sorts. It turns out here that the bombs are what the squazzles said were nuts. So I was like, they are actually trying to kill him.
Yes, they are. Yeah.
They're trying to kill him. Go and collect the nuts.
100%.
They're bombs. Oh, but also clearly Paulie is suddenly an absolute idiot. Doesn't recognise the nuts that he was trying to get in before, and what is clearly a ticking timer bomb.
I was always under the impression from the start of the show that he was quite
I thought he was supposed to be the clever one.
The smart one,
Yeah.
yeah.
Paulie doesn't know, though, thinking it's a super nut, but brings the ticking bomb back to the squazzle home. He actually succeeds in his mission and brings it back to the squazzle home. At least I'll laugh at that. Get their comeuppance, right? Just as Fergie gets the results Paulie needs, the ground shakes and a massive explosion is seen in Pinata Island. It's another massive explosion that apparently doesn't kill anybody. As we see squazzles flying through the air, raining squazzles as Fergie runs off to save him. We see Paulie and somebody else's squazzles flying through the air until he hits a tree and he decides, look, I'm going to stay here. They don't want me either. I'm going to stay here. Fergie arrives, though, with the genetic proof that Paulie is a Pretztail. I was like, genetic proof? What is happening to this show?
This is the best bit of this episode.
But he doesn't actually have genetic proof at all. Basically, he's not very good at science. Given up, he decides to talk to Paulie and tells him, look, I miss you. And shows him, look, so do the rest of the pinatas from afar, and it doesn't really matter what you are, we just miss you. And rather than end there, which I thought would have been a really nice message, that it doesn't really matter who you are, where you come from, we're just friends, we just reveal that Ella is responsible for the files, and that's apparently explains the mistake.
Yeah.
Why does that explain the mistake?
Because she's an idiot.
But no, she forgets things. She's not an idiot. She forgets things. So why are all the other pinatas not mixed up? Why just Paulie? And why is being forgetful meaning she put his file in the wrong place?
She forgot what breed he was, I suppose. But
it doesn't do a good explanation for me.
It's convenient how it's only for them, the main characters.
I mean that's fine. I can live with that because we need a main cast. We don't need to have what I'm confused about is why don't it just end on the whole? It doesn't really matter what you are. And I think later on what we could have done was in future episodes we could have always had this jokey thing go ongoing that Paulie's never quite sure who he is, and that's fun thing where he starts to act like different pinatas in different episodes. I think that could have been fun.
This I'll be surprised if this gets mentioned again.
Nothing ever gets mentioned again.
No.
All we ever do is the only concurrent thing we do now is we introduce a character that sometimes returns later on, like Peggy Pudgeon and things like that.
Yeah.
But nothing really carries over here. Nothing carries over at all. And it's a bit of a shame because I think this would have been a fun thing to do that you could have kept and still been able to individualise the episodes without having to have a concurrent. And you would have also had a message again here, like a previous episode, where you're saying something, hey, it doesn't matter where you're from.
Yeah.
You've got friends and they love you.
Exactly.
Instead, we just get this. It was Ella's fault. But overall, I think both segments are fine.
Yeah.
There's nothing particularly terrible about this.
No.
Episode 18, Soylent Green and I, Pretztail. That's our thoughts on those segments. You got any thoughts? You know what to do. Let us know in the comments. Thank you very much for watching. If you'd like to see more content like this, please consider hitting the subscribe button. It is gratefully appreciated. You can find us over at gbhbl.com, our full website, where reviews, news, and so much more goes up daily. We're also on all social media platforms: Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Threads, at GBHBL. Just search for GBHBL and you will find us out there. We also have merchandise on sale. You can access the shop via the website.